Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today is December 7th, 2021. This is the SIG-Network Ingress NGINX sub-project meeting. And as always, this is a Kubernetes community meeting. And we ask you to comply with the code of conduct, which is basically be excellent with each other. If you have any issues, please report that to the governing body and or myself or Ricardo. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So we've got action-packed meeting today. We've got a lot of stuff. So thanks for that, Noah. You've been doing an awesome job of keeping us on our toes, making sure that things need to be reviewed or looked at. I don't think we have anyone new today. Let me go ahead and double check. Nope, pretty late today, as we expect for the holiday season. So we can go ahead and skip that. Do we want to, since we've got a laundry list of things already out there, do we want to skip triage for now and go into our open topics? What do you think, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm up to, if Noah is okay with that as well, I am up to maybe skipping the triage. I owe you folks a lot of triage and a lot of reviews as well. I've been away the last few weeks traveling. So probably this weekend I will have some time, but I've been mostly focused on the security stuff. But I think that we should probably, so actually, Noah, do you think there is something really urgent that we need to take a look? Otherwise, I would just say, hey, if you see something that's like important and the bot keep cycling, like putting the stale, we can do a lifecycle frozen on that and maybe think like postpone that. I can take a look at that as well. That's okay.
So the thing I do is I usually go through the oldest ones. That's also the ones I always mention here, but there's nothing really important. I think that
I was thinking this one because I don't know how much bandwidth Alvin has. I know there's a couple other Lua things out there, and I saw this one. I didn't know if we wanted to reach out to Alvin, if he's even has the capacity to help, or if we need to reach out and get support for Lua or elsewhere. We can pull this one up and we can talk about it. That's the only thing. Other stuff looks pretty similar, right? Like you said, Ricardo needs some status, some follow-up and reviews on some things. I think this one actually is a bug. I was going to look at this one, so I'll probably assign this one to myself. But I think this one is probably the main one we should probably look at if we're, just because no one on this call is a Lua expert, and we should probably have that conversation.
Yeah. So, like from my side, if I could change from, let's be really honest here. So if I could change from Lua to like using NJS and using JavaScript would be better to maintain from my side, because I don't know Lua. I don't know JavaScript either, but JavaScript is like better to understand than Lua. But as we were speaking like with Jintal and Alvin and other folks, I guess like OpenRest is pretty well used on around there, right? So I think that we should at least like try to make a separate specific meeting with Lua folks and say, hey folks, so we need your help, or we need to think on another approach, because it's like hard for folks that maintain that are maintaining with you, maintain like Ingress NGINX, plus maintaining Lua, plus maintaining Helm charts, plus maintaining a lot of stuff, and like we don't have all of that expertise here. So how you folks think about you can help us? If you look like the past CVEs, the majority of them were because of something in Lua, right? And I'm not saying that's bad at all. Like I think that Lua is OpenRest is a pretty amazing tool that's been helping. Like Kong is all built over that, was all built over that as well. I just think that maybe if we can't maintain that, probably we should think about some other approach that we can maintain, right? It's not like a short-term or a mid-term change, in my opinion. But I think that we need probably to have this conversation and think how can we evolve into something that more people can just jump in and maintain, right? Because I honestly, I'm not looking right now into learning a new language, like learning Lua, as I am just dealing with Go, Helm, to Go, Python, and yeah, so it's pretty hard. And even like OpenRest, you have a lot of stuff in C, right? So the previous core dump that we've got was like a C problem that we needed to reach one OpenRest maintainer, and then they could figure out what was the real problem. So I am just up to maybe trying to have less external stuff in NGINX. But this is my opinion. I think that we should probably have this honest conversation between all of us and say, hey, this is the path that we want to take, or no, we can still stick in our path, but we need some support from the community. Otherwise, it's just unmaintainable by us.
So what I put in there is schedule a conversation with the Lua support team about moving to OpenResty or adopting JavaScript as a.
Yeah, actually moving from OpenResty, not
we are
sorry,
using
my that's OpenResty from rest, you know, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I was talking also with Alejandro those days. Like we usually speak some random stuff, and apparently there are some other things like rising in NGINX, I guess, WebAssembly or something like that was with Rust. So I think we need probably think in a long term what we want to do, right? So. We know that we want to move to Gateway API. We know that we need to split like the controller from NGINX and all of those things they are walking. So Damian, that it's an item in our agenda. Like Damian did some cool job like splitting open telemetry from NGINX, and I want to use that as a base for like mod security and other modules as well. But I think that this is like things. Let's say those are things that's a janitoring job that we are doing right now, right? So we are cleaning up things, we are making them slim, but we need to think in a long term what we want to do from the project. That's my opinion.
That is fair, and I think if we do move to something like JavaScript, we probably get a lot more folks from a development perspective. I would say JavaScript is probably more popular than Lua, but
I would say that even from NGINX folks, right? Because NJS is a really new technology that NGINX has been using, new like 2 or 3 years old. But I can't see a lot of people using that, right? Okay. So it's something that even for NGINX, for F5, it's something new. Also, if the performance is worse than OpenRest, it's up to F5 folks and NGINX folk 5s to say, hey, okay, we can do that better than OpenRest, right? So, sorry, Carol, but would be like a challenge for you. Like, hey, why aren't we using everything that's on core of NGINX? Because OpenRest is faster than NJS. So F5 folks need to fix that, right? That's like my take on that.
You brought it up, this moving on to the next thing, the splitting up the Ingress. Do we just need more folks from the community to do testing on that one? So you assigned yourself to it. I was just asking what do we probably need more testing?
Yeah, so I think it would be good, like some like you, me, and other folks that have been dealing with image building. We actually need to take a look into how this can improve. So what are the caveats of that? What points are we missing on that, right? Because that's a big change. We are just saying, hey, now if you want to run a model in Ingress controller, you need to add a sidecar and mount that model as an empty volume or something like that, right? So if that take is right, we are going to get some good things for the community and even for Kubernetes folks, right? Because we are going to make the size of our image really smaller. But we can't make this more complicated than it is. So I would have like a second take. I didn't look it into Damian PR yet, I just did a Zoom with him because he asked me like, hey, can we just make a quick chat? And I say, hey, this is my take on that. And he was, yeah, cool. Let's do this way, right? But this would probably become like a framework if people wanna, for example, hey, I wanna add this model into Ingress NGINX, and so how can I do that, right? Can I just build? Can I? What's the README of that for extending NGINX with other modules, right? So we need, first of all, we need to see if this is right, if this is the right approach that we are taking, and then we probably should write like, hey, if you want to add a third-party module and we don't accept it, you still can use that, building this way and adding as a sidecar, and this is the way that we do. So I think that in a midterm, this is going to be huge, right? So this is going to be a huge take into how we build Ingress NGINX and how we turn that into like expansible for other NGINX modules that people wanna use. So I would at least that folks take a look into that and say, hey, this is cool, this is not cool, this works. You are missing this point, right? So you are missing this thing here, and another better than like people really using that to review and say that, like, and say, hey, yeah, you are missing this thing, this is gonna break users. Anyway, I don't plan to like make this as a minor release or something like that the same way we did before. I've learned it with my mistakes, right? We did the sanitization stream. But
this definitely would be a major change. Okay. Yeah. I'll add it to my list of things to test. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and assign this one to myself, the persistent one, because they put in a lot of issues in that one. So I'll add this to my backlog of my stuff. So it's 8013 to review. 8013 test. Okay. This one I don't know if you had a chance to look at. It looks like the stickiness isn't working with the original pod after it's been mapped out. So I'm gonna scroll all the way down to their test. I don't know if anyone else has done any testing with this. He actually does a really good job of mapping this all out. So everything looks good. The hash, it goes to the same pod, deletes it, uses the same cookie, it's not going to the same one every single time now. So now I was going to go ahead and test this just to validate that this is an issue. So I'm going to replicate this, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. So I at least want to be able to replicate and accept the triage on this one. So that's what I'll do for this for myself.
How does it work? Is it some Lua magic?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it is. It used to be a NGINX model, and then it turned to be into a Lua magic. Yeah,
Lua magic.
Yeah, I'm actually curious also, like what technique it's using to
I would ask some time, like for Elvin or someone to make a walkthrough into Lua code, because every time I need to change something there, I keep like hitting my head on the wall and saying, hey, probably I will break something here instead of fixing. But that's overall how Lua works here. I don't know if you know, but the thing is that like when you what it does is actually it returns for you the backend, right? So what it makes is like when you hit that part of the code, Lua runs and say, hey, so if you have this condition on that condition on that condition, so from this table I'm gonna return to you this backend. So that's all of what it does. And that's the same way that NJS works. And that's the same thing for OpenSSL, for TLS certificates. So that Lua by block something, what it does is actually it returns to NGINX what it should present. So that's mostly like a string that gets returned. Like what's the balancer, what's the certificate, or something like that.
Okay, that's helpful. Once I get to that point, I just say, yeah, I can validate that this is an issue. and just start digging in. I mean, I did just as a personal goal, wanted to learn the Lua a little bit more, but I'll wait until we have that further discussion. Okay, so there's that one. I know we weren't going through the list. So there's that one. This one was old and it's pointing to main, but I know someone asked about it, stream snippets. So adding a new snippet for adding streams. It looks fine in the code. I did a review of it, but I didn't know why it was closed. I don't see why it was closed at all. And the only problem I have with it is that it's pointing to main. Anything other than that, it's just pretty straightforward. Adds a snippet, adds it in the Lua code, adds it to the documentation if folks want to use it or not.
Yeah, why just not reopen it and change the main the master branch to main?
I don't have any issues with that either. I was just wondering, Ricardo, if you had any, since it's an older one and it looks like it was closed. It's just a stream snippet. The only thing.
Why it was closed? It was just a cycle, like got stale, or there was some discussion over that.
No, I think
Like
it was looking
Alejandro
like a
closed it.
draft, and then Alejandro closed it. Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing, the only question I have is since it's a new snippet, does this person have to do anything with the block list that we put in place? I don't know if everything's covered by it because it looks at all snippets.
I can't remember either, but the first thing I would ask is at least like to make some E2E tests over that to verify if the sanitization is working fine.
Yeah, so they've got one test for it, but they don't have it for the sanitization. Okay, I'll make that comment then. 447.
Okay.
447. Which one is this? It's 6404. 6404. Add the comment about the block list and E2E test for the block list.
And maybe change the target branch.
Yep. Change target. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Talked about that one. This one I don't remember. This was an older issue that was brought up during a Slack conversation. So it looks like there might be a breaking change from an older version with path types.
Oh yeah, I was working on that.
Oh, you were? Yeah, you were. Yep.
Yeah, we had a big internal issue where teams were blaming each other, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look into this, and I found all the code responsible for it. I don't know. It's not a bug. It's just that like when you switch from, I don't think that extensions v1 beta 1 or whatever the old API version was defined the behavior for path matching, but now with networking API version, I think both v1 beta 1 and v1, it defines the path matching as on/boundaries. So we have users in our organization who set things up, particularly for gRPC service matching, where they're matching the gRPC, what do they call it, package name or something, which is a string and then a dot and then their gRPC service name, and they might have multiple services under that they all want to route. So that's a dot. Basically, their path matching ends in a period, not in a slash. And now the Ingress specification says that path matching should be on a slash boundary. And Alejandro made that change back at some point. And when we upgraded to the version that had that change, everyone had this unexpected behavior because they hadn't realized that the spec changed in being all implementation specific path matching to now it's slash boundary path matching. And NGINX location, that's just prefix matching. That's never been slash boundary. So it's kind of an additional thing that the Kubernetes Ingress spec added in for us. I don't, since this adheres to the spec, I don't know that it's like a bug, but it's definitely something that's going to come up with people who are upgrading that were relying on that behavior. This is one example. See, they had /config and /configs, and they wanted to match both of them just as the prefix config. But that's not networking. V1 doesn't say they can do that.
Because the spec now does it, like you said, the slash boundaries. So
Yeah.
/config and configs won't match.
Yeah. They would just need to define both paths in their list. Like here, they have two paths, / and /config. If they just added a third one that was /configs, that would work for them. And that's basically that. No, that adheres to the spec. But it's surprising to anyone upgrading that behavior all of a sudden just starts happening in, I think, .41.
So we just need to add a recommend.
Yeah, I would say that probably in 41 they have changed something on the API spec as well. Right. So remember when I was saying that in past, the main problem that I was fighting was like because of V1 beta 1, like the path prefix, the path type didn't exist, and then it started to exist, and they have changed the way it was implemented. So there wasn't like I can't say there was like a breaking change. There was some care about the breaking changes inside the Ingress API, not Ingress NGINX, but all of the ingresses, because of it was still like a V1 beta API, right? And but to be honest, I don't know if we are doing this right now the right way or not.
There's another edge case here. If the server block has regex enabled, and if you haven't looked at that logic before, if either any of the ingresses under that host name have use regex true, or if any of them have rewrite target true, then all of the location directives under that host name, under that server block, now are set up with regex, and that still is prefix matching because it's just caret, then the location, and it doesn't put a slash on the end of it.
Okay.
So you can kind of get the old prefix matching behavior if you force it into regex mode. So we had like some environments that happened to have an ingress with regex, and they forced them all to regex, so we never saw the issue on those environments.
Okay.
So since we're adhering to the spec and it's unexpected behavior, should we just add a note in the documentation? Is that sufficient?
Probably. We already have a page on path matching caveats, so maybe we could explain the difference there.
I don't like volunteering people, but Tom, it sounds like you've got the best handle on this.
Yeah,
to be able to
work on that. Let me add it to my to-do list and try not to forget.
Okay. Do you want me to open it? Well, we've already got an issue open. You want me to just assign this one to you?
Sure.
Will that help? I don't know what would be most helpful for you for a reminder. What's your GitHub? Hey, look, it just popped up.
Even GitHub wants to assign it to me.
Can we also add the triage accepted label so that it doesn't pop up anymore in the
just keep popping up? Yeah.
Yeah, in the list.
Good call. Did I spell it right? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Well, that's good. Thanks for that, Tom. Okay. think we've gone through all the ones that folks have asked about in Slack recently. We've gone through most of these. I think we're good from that respect. So now that we've worked through all of those issues and we've done some of that, we've got two things that I've seen. The last two updates to the Helm chart, nobody's updated the README. So I've seen two come through, and it still has the old update to 1.1.0. So nobody's updating the Helm chart README. So when I get the artifact email, I'm not seeing updates to that. So I just want to remind folks that when we're doing updates to the Helm chart has its own separate README or changelog that needs to be updated. And then, of course, the fun. I haven't seen the email yet on the dev group, the Kubernetes dev group. 123 is going to get released today. This also brings up the conversation around that drops 119 support. And 119 was the last one for the beta 1. So now we're into the fun territory of only supporting bug fixes. I was thinking one of the things that we need to do probably to help from a user's perspective, per the conversation we had, a month ago, is that we probably should put a release date in there for those in that README. So we've got the versions for everything and then a release date just so you can see and have that conversation where it's like we've released 0.5, 0.49 and those things, and just only having this 6-month support conversation, because I think that's what we originally talked about. Any takers, thoughts? Because I mean, dropping 119 support right now, if we continue down with the N-3, that's gonna always raise some questions.
Which V1 beta 1 are you talking about? Extensions or networking?
Networking.
Both of them.
Well,
Extensions has been gone like for a while. This is
okay.
networking.
Looking at the deprecation guide, and it says extensions V1 beta 1 and networking V1 beta 1 API versions of Ingress no longer served as of v1.22. So wouldn't 20 and 21 still support them?
Thanks for that. I misspoke then. So we're fine probably for another
I'm
few
worried we're like
releases.
jumping the gun here because they're officially removed in.
I thought it was 119.
That's when they became available. So you're
Gotcha.
really limited overlap there if it's going to be dropped.
No, that's fine. Thank you again for keeping us on point, Tom.
Yeah.
So it's not a concern yet, but we do need to add, just for tracking, an issue for someone to add 123 to the testing loop and drop 119. Do we continue? Yeah, we're not going to continue on legacy. So I'll just go ahead and open up an issue for someone. That's a good first issue to someone to add 123 to the testing, to EDE testing. I mean, we can do it, but we'll if nobody does it by the time we talk again in January.
Just be aware that to add that to E2E test, we need first to have an image for kind. And Ben doesn't release. I mean, I know that he's been doing some runs to release kind image versions together with Kubernetes release, but I don't think he does have that yet. So we can do
123
that,
is not released yet. I'm just saying, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, as we are just hitting holidays and other stuff, so I don't think that the kind folks, they are going to release 123 image just before, just after the release of of 123 today. So it is a good first issue, but I would just open that as soon as we know that there is 123 in kind. Otherwise, we are going to get people just jumping in and saying, hey, I can do that, and the issue getting stale, right? That's just like my only concern on that. That's just that. But, I'll hold until I see it. Yeah, and about the deprecation things, I have like 2 lines of thinking, right? So as a developer of and maintainer of Ingress NGINX, I think that the best path to us was going to be like just deprecate the legacy one. But thinking into the users, I think that, and I agree, like what Tom said, that probably we should be careful to say, hey, we don't support version 1 beta 1, as we don't support anymore like 121 or 122 or whatever, right? So it's hard to think about that, because I really don't want to keep like doing cherry picks forever in the legacy branch. But I know that there is a lot of clusters in the wild with old versions, and it's hard to migrate. Like for Amazon, for example, I guess 6 months ago, the latest version in EKS was something like 120, right? So right now I know that they are following something closer, but we still have a lot of users on that. So I think that we should probably, as much as I want to deprecate that, and I really want to, I think that we should be at least a bit careful about that. Like maybe doing some research and watching to see how many of our users are still using the legacy branch and why they are using that. So I guess we discussed about that in past, right, James? Like making some formularies.
Is there any way we can get like poll data on older versions or anything like that? I guess I'm wondering like if GC, like if we get hard data. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
We can let's talk with SIG-Infra, because I think they have that stats, right? I know that they have this stats at least like the second most downloaded Docker image from Kubernetes Infra is Ingress NGINX. The first one is kubeproxy, right? So probably they have also the tag for that, so we can ask them like, hey, we need some stats about the tag, right?
Yeah.
Let me just ping Arnaud here. Arnaud usually knows about it.
With that, do we have anything else? I think we ran through most of everything. Speak now if I hold your peace for 2021. There's a message in the chat. Oh, thanks, Tom. The deprecation guide.
It's like always up in my browser. Of the 100 tabs I've opened, that's like one I have to keep open.
I try to have good hygiene and close out Chrome every day. All right, folks, unless there's anything else, I've got some updates that I'll add to the tickets. So I've taken those notes, and I don't think there's anything else we need to discuss from that. And if we're going to cancel the 21st, so make sure that everyone knows that. As a holiday for most of us, I'll get Casey to cancel that for us, and I'll drop the note in the channel probably on the day of as well. Even though it's my day off, I'll just make sure to drop that note that folks know that it's canceled. Other than that, I don't know if we're gonna plan to have a release between now and the end of the year, Ricardo. Probably not. Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking about using the end of the year to just fix some stuff, but not releasing anything.
Okay. All right. Well, as always, thanks everyone for joining.
Unless
and if we don't talk,
someone appears with a CVE, right? If someone appears with a CVE, then I'm gonna need to release.
That's a different story. Yeah.
Yes.
If we can also get a fix too. Yeah. We're getting pretty good at that. I think we've been through 2 of those cycles now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And as always, if you have any issues or comments, join us in Slack. And if not, happy holidays to everyone.
See you,
Happy
folks.
holidays.
Happy New Year.
See you.
Bye-bye.